Welcome to the Path Podcast, where we will travel the lives of some bold women, from dreams to detours to destiny. She did not choose this path. This path chose her. This is the Path Podcast. Welcome back, Path listeners, to another episode of the Path Podcast. But your sister, your motivator, your confidence builder, the one who believes that purpose is bigger than obstacles. Well, Path listeners, I'm in here doing another solo episode. I have been enjoying them, I must say, but you still can expect to hear some bold women coming into the Path Podcast talking and telling their amazing stories, how they came through certain obstacles, how they started businesses, and what they're doing today because of all of it, or just what they're doing in their businesses, because I am finding I'm loving that, talking to those women, all of us in business. And I bet you out there have something you're doing or have an idea of some things that you want to do yourself. So please don't give up on those dreams. Don't feel like you are not here to add value to this world. We have women, especially, we run the world. If I had that clip, I would have probably played a clip of Beyonce's We Run the World, but I digress. So, Path listeners, let me tell you what we're going to talk about. Even though I just said that, if you have ideas, you have plans for your life, don't give up on it. Go out there, do it. I still want to talk about something that is of interest that I feel like is major when it comes to people in general, but especially women. I read a quote that said, "Happiness is letting go of what you think your life is supposed to look like and celebrating it for everything that it is," by Mandy Hale. Another quote I read said, "We must let go of the life we have planned so as to accept the one that is waiting for us." And that is a quote from Joseph Campbell. So now why this topic? Because I believe even though we have dreams, we have hopes, we have all the things that makes us who we are, sometimes there are things that don't go the way we plan. And when that happens, what do you do? Do you accept what's happening? Do you pretend it's not happening? Or are you just like stuck? What do you do? When we were children, we had this big imagination a lot of times of what our lives would look like. As we grew into our teenage years, especially in our 20s, we thought we really had it all figured out, right? We had these expectations, lots of them, of course. And reality doesn't always quite match up to it, right? Because again, when I came out of college, you could not tell me I was not walking into that six-figure job on day one. And I got married in my early 20s to divorce 11 years later. I love to always say I kind of forget. That's how happiness happens, everyone. So please let me be your survival guide to let you know there is life after divorce and so much joy. But I tell you, it takes work. We know life has a lot of twists and turns. We change directions, we reroute. We have to make changes in life. That's in everything we do. That doesn't mean we failed at anything. It just means that maybe the life we truly plan is not the life that is destined for you to present to the world. That God has a bigger plan for you. And we know some things happen that it's out of our control. Some things we have to admit, and if we're honest, is some things that maybe we've caused on our own. But there are a lot of things that are out of our control. And that's a lot of the women who comes on the Path Podcast did not plan these events that's happened or tragedies that's happened in their lives. So that is something that no one planned. But still, we all still, even after those tragedies, had to learn to move on from that pain, from that tragedy. And how do you move on? How do you cope when these unimaginable or undesirable things happen? How did I love to be transparent, had to move on from when I didn't get the six-figure job in my 20s and my 30s, and then found myself divorced, raising a little girl by myself at the time. How did I wake up the very next day and decided there is still purpose of my life and that I had to move forward, in order to show this young lady what life was about? One of the first things I believe we all have to do when we have to accept or let go of the life we imagine, we have to sit back and start rejecting these assumptions that we had or have about our lives. For example, we should have children by a certain age, or you should be married by a certain age. I read something where it says instead of saying that, we should turn that into I will have children when or if it is right for me. And sometimes we may have to say that to our family members lovingly and respectfully. So be mindful of that. Everything I do believe in life is how we perceive the situation, because we know these tragedies and these things that happen to us that are out of our control is hard. And trust me, we have to go through these things, unfortunately, in life. Even like I always state, when I lost my mother at the age of 12, I had to learn and to live without my mother at a young age, me and my siblings, and our father trying to raise us as a single parent now. But we learned that around us became a village. We had so many other women that stepped in, our family members who did different things and different times. And it felt like we were surrounded by so much love that it helped. It didn't replace, no one asked to replace our mother. No one tried to replace our mother. We were just surrounded by so many wonderful people in our lives that it showed us so many other mothers that were in our lives that made that painful situation just a little easier to bear. So a lot of times it is rejecting the old assumptions of how some things should be. You should tell a family member you will have children if it is right for you. And let me tell you, it still doesn't change where you are, but we have to reject the assumptions that you should have a baby by the age of 25, by the age of 30. We understand the science behind what they're saying when what happens when women get older. But ladies, let me tell you, we are all different, and our timing to do everything in our lives are different. So please do not allow anyone to put a number on you for you to assume you're falling behind in life, that you should rush, because the last thing anybody would want you to do is rush just to get married to the person who is not right for you, and then just to have children to just end later in separation or divorce. That is a lot of heartache on you, the children, and no one deserves that. I know you will sit there and say, Arlene, that's easier said than done, but that's some things that we have to do in life. I wish I could say we shouldn't have to, but what are you going to do? Stay stuck or don't deal with it? Those are the things that we have to do in life. It's not easy. And parents out there, if you have daughters, sons, we have to teach them this. And in a way that you try to learn to deal with these things is picture yourself even letting it go. Let yourself feel everything you're feeling. If you are 30, 35, 40 and with no children, feel what you're feeling. It is a real thing that we have to work through to move forward from it. That's the only way we can deal with it. And sit down and write that I am frustrated that I still don't have children. I am frustrated that I am 45 and still I'm not married. What is happening? But still, we have to deal with these things and to understand that it is okay to mourn the loss of the life that you had planned for yourself. Someone is out there dealing with an illness that was not definitely in their plan. So those are the things that we have to look at life and say, this is where I am today. And oh my goodness, I know it's not easy, because I would want to deal with an illness myself. I just know that this is something that we would all have to do. I had to do that again, even with in my career path, because I still thought by now I would be at a different place than I am even in my life. You couldn't tell me I was not going to be running someone's Fortune 500 company, as I won't go to the CEO level at a very high position. I really saw myself there. But right now life has turned me into something I know I love. I love motivating, encouraging. Always have done that. Always been this person. This is who I am. If I had not gone through some of the things I've gone through, yes, I still could have taken that route. And I am still in corporate America. I'm not a president of in a company, but I do okay for myself. But as I build a business in motivational speaking, this is who I am. This is what I love. It comes natural to me. And I may not have gone through any of this if I had not gone through some of the things I've gone through in my life. And I had to mourn walking straight into that six-figure job, a six-figure a year job that I thought I wanted. But I promise you, I'm looking for this to exceed that right now because it is who I am. I can't fail being who I am called to be. And neither can you. Change the way you're looking at it. Mourn the loss of the life you had planned and sit back and go back to that little child who had this big imagination and see if some of those things are what you're doing today. And if not, I promise you, sometimes we have to go back to that childlike mind to say, wow, I did love doing this at one point. Let me look at this. And if you were a person who journal it and write all of this stuff down until you may not do it until 2 years later because you might be doing other things in your life that is requiring your attention, but write it down. I always say here, I'm more of a speaker, so I speak a lot of my things out, but I've written stuff down because I had to. And I've gone back to some things that I've written after my divorce even. So write your stuff down. Who knows what's going to happen? It can turn into books. It can turn into podcasts. It can turn into a speaking business. It can turn into a business that you have planned and have ideas for. So again, mourn the loss of the life you had planned for yourself so you can imagine what's to come. There are so many things to come. Trust me. I read in an article where it said there has to come a time for acceptance. When things aren't going well, when we are really struggling with life's curveballs, it's all too easy to spiral down the path of despair and assume tomorrow will bring just as much pain, as much fatigue, as many imposed limitations as today. To feel frustrated, anger, and disappointment at the unfairness of it all. These emotions are natural when we experience adversity, but they are not helpful to live with long term. There has to come a time for acceptance. Only then can we start to move forward and find happiness. You can live a fulfilled and happy life. You just have to actively search for the ways to live well. It all comes down to the choices we make in life. And when we say accept the reality, now we're not saying sit in reality of despair. What we're saying is so you can move forward and build from that, because I don't believe in sitting in misery at all. So we have to still find that what we need to do differently so we can live a fulfilling life. So no, we're not going to sit in pain. We're not going to sit in agony. We're not going to sit in the tragedies that's happened to us. We're going to move forward from them and learn to celebrate the beauty of right now. Just start by writing it down, the things that you're grateful for. For those things, they will bring a smile to you. They'll bring hope for you. Just start there until you're ready to write down the things that you're ready to let go and the things that you're ready to forgive. I might have changed it up a little bit, but I learned that from one of my past guests in episode 52, Katie Graham, who is a wonderful, phenomenal coach. If you're looking for someone to help move you forward, check her out, follow her on Instagram. I will put her in my mentions, but definitely do that because we have to find those things that give us joy, that we are thankful for. I will only ask you just to try it just to see if it works. And we have to continue to do something. We have to speak things until you feel it. Sometimes you don't feel it while you're writing it, but you have to continue to do it. Some of the other things we need to do to learn to let go of the life we imagine is drop the comparisons. We've heard that over and over again, but how many times have we heard that, but we still do the same thing over and over again? These days, it's all too easy to compare ourselves because social media is so in our face. They're the happy pictures with the partners, they're the parties and friends, the announcements of the new engagements, but it's right there for us daily. Just remember, these people have control over what they portray on social media. And hopefully we hope that they're all feeling exactly the way they are and living that life that they're portraying online. But in truth, some of these relationships and all of the things that people are dealing with sometimes involve hardship. it involves difficulties, and it involves a whole lot more that they won't put on social media, as they have the right not to. But still, you cannot compare everybody like their lives are perfect and yours is just falling apart at every seam. Everybody's life is not that way. We all have experienced different things. If you go back and look at or hear a story of someone you follow, like I'm just going to say Oprah, she tells you of the things that she's gone through in her lives. There are many more. It's just that you don't hear everybody's stories. Some people don't have the platform like Oprah to tell how their humble beginnings started. We just look at their today thinking Oprah came out as a billionaire, and that is so far from the truth, and she would be the first one to tell you that. So definitely stop and drop the comparisons. The other thing we have to stop doing is looking for permission from someone else. When I tell you this is another huge thing that we need to stop, because just like the comparison, we will look for people who are sometimes not even trying to do anything. Some people who don't have the vision that you were given to do certain things, or got failed relationships trying to tell you what to do in your relationship. So stop looking for permission from everyone else. They say you have to learn to trust yourself, your desires, your dreams, and your own powerful sense of intuition. We all have had friends who said, you should do this, you should do that. And some are valid, and there are a whole lot that are not. I love to call them sometimes those that are the unsolicited advice that we did not ask of them. And some are just family members. So stop looking for permission from everyone out there. Yes, it is difficult. Start small by not asking for advice or approval for the little decisions that you used to want input on. Then gradually build up so that you're no longer dependent on others to validate your choices or your identity. As I stated earlier in the podcast, how my siblings and I looked at things differently after we lost our mother. We have to always look at a meaning in the loss. Again, that is not an easy thing, and no one can tell you how your grieving process should be. The only thing that we can say is that we pray that you will find something, a reason to celebrate the life that person had and that you shared together. Trust me, it's not easy, but those things and holding on to those great memories is a blessing. No one can help you find that meaning. That's something you have to discover for yourself. The commitment to finding the purpose so you can move forward after that loss is your primary mission, if that is something you're dealing with. And that can still be the same thing with an illness or the career path that took a different route than you had planned. Just remember that you are the one and the only one that can find the true meaning in what changed in your life and why it changed. And we know a significant loss will never be the same. They're all different, but we can renew and evolve and transform from some of these painful situations. Whatever level you're on, that's why we have therapists and psychiatrists out there, as well as life coaches if it's not on that level where it's something that's even deeper than sometimes you feel like you can get past. I'm a life coach. If you ever need someone, contact me. I'm there who can help, because I understand loss and I understand the different things that we go through. I am also a motivational speaker, as I said. And if you have an organization looking for someone to help people learn to navigate through these painful situations, please consider contacting me. Go to my website at www.arlenebolden.com. arlenebolden.com, and I'll tell you that again at the end. But for sake of time, I'm going to wrap up this podcast with a few other quotes I've found that I think are very powerful to what we are trying to move through life and letting go of the life we imagine. But before I do that, let me just say that we need to learn to embrace every new beginning and be kind to yourself. We owe ourselves and those around us a better quality of life, and that better quality of life is when we can live comfortable in our today and not being stuck in the past that can overshadow the great things that is in store for you and your family. As we end today, there's a few things I want to point out that you're going to hear a lot more on a lot of my solo episodes and or sometimes with guests. It's about transforming our mindset, making a decision, and moving forward boldly. Those are the three mantras that I will stand by that's going to help us move forward in life in everything that we do. Is it going to be easy all the times? No. It won't always be easy. But is it worth it? And is it something I believe we have to do? Yes, I do. And sometimes you have to coach yourself in order to make sure you process this life of letting go of some things that we did not cause ourselves. Just say to yourself, it's okay sometimes. Some things are not the end of the world. And in some cases, when you were not feeling this way, for right now, I hope that you know you are safe and that you will get through this. And some of us out there, we always need to know things will work out. Things will work out, and sometimes we have to do the work to make sure they do. To end the show, I want to leave it on a quote. It says, holding on is believing that there is only a past. Letting go is knowing that there is a future. By Daphne Rose Kingma. That's Kingma. That is powerful, y'all. So everyone out there, if you need assistance, you need a speaker, you need a coach, contact me at www.arlenebolden.com. And trust me, if you need a therapist or a psychiatrist, like I've said before, I've had some of the best on this podcast. And I know a lot of other coaches that are out there that may be more suitable for you. Send me an email, subscribe to my website, and let's connect and let's move past a lot of these things, because I know the world is out there waiting on something great from you. Until next time, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for hanging with us. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and other platforms, so you can stay up on our bi-weekly, real conversations with these bold women. You can follow The Path Podcast on Facebook at The Path Podcast and on Instagram and Twitter at The Path_podcast. And if you would like to be a guest on the show or have questions for a future show, you can email us at thepath4ward@gmail.com. That's thepathforward@gmail.com. And if you're looking for a speaker or you're in need of a life coach, please reach out to me again at thepathforward@gmail.com or at ACKORLEH@gmail.com. Thank you. Until next time.